Today's topic is going to be the fig tree. So, hello, if you're listening to me ramble these words, today's topic is going to be Mark 11:12, Jesus and the fig tree. See, I've been reading the New Testament over again recently, and this verse has stuck out to me so much, I couldn't stop rereading it. I would go past, I would complete a gospel, but then I would have to turn back the pages and keep going back to this little verse because it really hasn't sat right with me. At first I was unsure about Jesus in this verse. It was unsettling, so what I did is I opened my Bible and I kept reading, so please could you do the same. It says on Mark 11:12, "The next day as they were leaving Bethany, Jesus was hungry. Seeing in distance a fig tree in leaf, he went to find it, but it had no fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves. Then he said to the tree, 'May no one ever eat fruit from you again.' And his disciples heard him say it." Now, for such a small amount of words, it says so much. It's amazing. This story for me speaks so much because I think what I've read of the Bible so far and the little bit I understand, it's really one of the most important verses modern day followers of faith should read. Now, before heading into the verse, I think it's imperative to look at what Jesus had been up to in the text before because it's so beautiful, ties into what Jesus is saying in Mark 11:12. We know how much of a busy man Jesus was and how a non-stop amazing things he would do. Between Mark 10 and 12, he teaches about divorce in Mark 10:1. He teaches about blessing children in Mark 13. He talks about wealth to his disciples in Mark 10:17. He predicts his own death in Mark 32. So he fights out squabbling between the apostles and he heals the blind. So he has been a busy boy. So when he finally leaves Bethany and walks upon a fig tree expecting figs to eat, but the tree is empty, he curses the tree, making sure it never bears fruit again. Now when I first read this verse, I was so lost because it was going against everything I knew about Jesus. We often sing and we talk about his love and his forgiveness, but not often do we speak about his ability to hold people to account. Now this verse is about choice, and what choice is Jesus giving us? So let me show my page. So when I was around 15 or 16, I would come to Aaron with friends from school, right? I would walk down to the church on a Sunday morning, I'd listen to the service, hearing the words, the music, and I would generally love the feeling of this new church vibe that I'd found. But the Sunday morning, Danny, wasn't the life that I was living the rest of the week. When I say I was 15, I think I was still doing this 10 years later when I walked into Aaron Church, again for the first time as an adult. So I found God, then I lost him for around 10 years, and then I re-found him in the church with my wife and my first son, Freddie. I would come to church on a Sunday, stand at the front with my son, lift my hands in prayer, singing songs, just building this new me. The thing is, I wasn't living the life of Sunday morning Danny. I would be out on a Friday night, drinking fizzy drinks and having a great time, staying up well past 11 and waking up late on a Saturday morning. I was selfish. I looked out for myself and I tried to be church-like, but with no real effort. But that didn't last long, and I slowly got fed up with the church and God because God wasn't listening to me, or so it seemed. Lately I have connected with God massively and I've completely started to turn my life into being completely focused on God and becoming a better Christian and reading my Bible and prayer for people and whatever I can do to live in God's image. So my loving relationship is getting there and I'm slowly changing my life from day to day, and I still have a long way to go, but I am having a real go at living my life in the image of God. I was the fig tree with the ability to give fruit, but I chose not to. It's easy to think, look, I turn up on a church on a Sunday, I say hello to a few people, I give a few quid to the front, and I've done my part for the week. Please don't take this as I'm talking bad about people of faith, because I'm really not. I just want anyone who hasn't maybe read this verse to understand God's holding you to the life that you lead. He's holding you accountable. Okay, especially Christians, because we know God's power and we know God's fruits, and we have like this secret that not other people do, so we have this power, right? So maybe it's just me, but being a follower of God is really, really hard. And I think it's so hard because the world I know outside of church isn't one of God. It's one of sin and selfishness and fighting for wealth, fighting to be known, fighting for yourself. It's, we look at our media and our pop stars and our famous people, celebrity cultures. It's about Instagram followers. It's about, do you drive the latest Bugatti? Do you have the big mansions or the $1 million bills? Do you have a big house, famous friends, or whatever other people want these days? So living a godly life in these days is really hard, especially for young people coming up with the example that their peers are setting and their famous people are setting. There's not loads of godly people in the front of the media, or unless you go out and search for it, right? So I spent many years kind of living in and out Brighton, which is a town on the south coast of England. It's known for music, and it's known for cultures and artists and kind of hippie people and outcasty people, and it's full of everyone. It's an amazing city. But I would walk the streets daytime, nighttime, early morning, and I would see the odd homeless guy. I would give him a smile, and I was proud of myself because I'd done my part. You know, I'd smiled to that guy, because when you don't have anything, all you want is a smile, really. You know, smiles feed you and they keep you warm at night. So I was proud of myself because I'd done my thing. But now I'm living my new life and I found God. I've started to look at my life and maybe open my eyes when I'm even walking around and looking at the world differently. So a few weeks back, doing a bit of Christmas shopping, I went over to Brighton to get some shopping for the family, and I was just blind before, but I didn't realise how many people were on the streets, how many people were there, just in sleeping bags, no food, cold, you know, dirty, asking for money. And I would see all these people walk past and past and past with bags of shopping, spending on plastic and metals that we don't need, that we're just getting told that we have. You know, and there's people, literally in every other doorstep there was someone sleeping there was someone begging, there was someone asleep. I don't know what they were doing, but there was loads, every other doorstep, it felt like. And it broke my heart, because before I didn't see it, or I chose not to see it. I'm not sure which one. Again, in the nights when I was walking around Brighton and I had 100 quid in my pocket, I was a fig tree. I was going to church at this point, and I was a fig tree, and I chose not to bear my fruit. So, if God is real, right, people will ask you, these are the questions that people ask you that aren't of faith, right? If God is real, why doesn't he give all the homeless people homes? You know, they normally ask some sort of question, why doesn't God do this? And I think when someone asks you that question, you should read them this verse, because it beautifully sums up what God is trying to tell you to do on this earth. So, looking back at Mark, right, and the verse we're looking at, Jesus had the ability to do two things that day. He could have made the fig tree right there, give fruit, and everyone, including him and all the people following, would have had food. And he could have told a story about it, and they would have said how amazing he is, and they would have gone on. But he needed almost to set an example. And this is where I think it's important to remember that God holds you accountable. God is one of love and of forgiveness, all these things, but he also is a God of judgment and, you know, holding people accountable, because it would have been simple for him to feed everyone. But there was no real lesson in that. So Jesus, you know, he's a teacher. He came to earth to teach us to save this world from sin, like, and how to get into heaven, right? So he wants to save us. Like, he's trying to teach us to save us from ourselves and find a way home or forward, or you know, however you look at heaven. So when Jesus walks upon the fig tree and condemns it to never fruit again, like I said, it seemed to go against Jesus' personality on my first read. I really thought he was kind of having a wobbly, or he was angry, or he was kind of like his human side was getting the best of him, and it was kind of against everything that I'd ever known in the bits I'd read. Like, so it just stuck with me. I couldn't quite get my head around it. So, but he's telling us, he's saying in black and white what he wants you to do. So we are the fig tree. You are, as a person of faith, you are the fig tree, right? And Jesus wants you to go out and give your fruit, which is your faith, your spirit, actually, the connection between you and God. He wants you to give that to every single person. We have the power to feed every single person we meet in our lives the fruit of God, right? And the word of God and the love of God and the forgiveness of God. But that is, you know, the fruit of God. So to change their lives to the better, to change this entire world, to feed the hunger of this world. So it is up to you and me and everyone that goes to church, and if we, you know, we need to be ready to do so, because Jesus is telling us clearly in the Bible who he wants us to be. Go out, heal the sick, feed the hungry, love the unloved, save the helpless. Whatever people of God, you know, we need to follow Jesus. We need to do what he did, and you know, he leads by example. He's doing it firsthand, walking the streets, healing Bartimaeus, the blind bloke, you know, and he's healing the paralysed man in Matthew that he brings through the roof, and there's all these things that he's doing, and the crazy man as he gets off the boat on the lake, but he's healing these people, and he's saying, I want, you know, when I'm God, he gives the power to the disciples, and he's saying, I want you to do the same thing. Go out, you have the power of Christ. If you want it, go out and save the world. So do you understand that Jesus will give you whatever you need in life, but in return, into a place in the kingdom, he wants you to go out and give the fruit to God, to the world. The verse is saying we can't walk into church, get baptized, sing a couple of songs, and be okay. Like, we have already been saved. Our place in the kingdom is there. But to have our place, don't think for 1 second that Jesus isn't going to hold us to our earthly actions. He is going to hold you accountable. Jesus is saying, he's using the fig tree to show that when you walk upon the gates of heaven, you will be proud of the work you have done. He wants to be like, you did everything I asked. You healed the sick. You gave money when you needed to. You loved the people that no one else would love. Like, you are the image of God. This is what he wants to say. You weren't the fig tree. You were ready to bear fruit whenever that moment was called upon you. So think about it tomorrow. We are people of our fruit. We all have something to give. We bring the good news of Jesus' salvation to the world, and we are using it, because if we don't, this world isn't going to be saved. It is up to us. We are the last chance, and to teach the generations after us, and then them to teach the generations after them. We need to show them how to take the fruit out, and to how to, plant more trees. And I keep talking about the trees, but that is exactly what he wants us to do. This fruit of knowledge, and this fruit of love and forgiveness. He realised we need to learn. That's why he didn't save the fig tree that day, and he gave it all the fruit. We need to learn our lesson. It is up to us to save this world. Don't be someone or a tree that has the ability to do something but chooses not to. Because when you gave your life to Jesus, and when you gave your life to God, and you got baptized, if you're that far in your journey, you chose to become a child of God. You chose to become someone that's taken on God's mission, and we want to bring us home, and our families home, and everybody home. And you need to go out. And I'm not saying about going into the streets and proclaiming the world and preaching like some people like to do. I don't mean that you need to go on stage and sing every Sunday morning, but be present in your community. Help the person that's walking down the street in the rain. Buy that homeless man a coffee. Whatever you can do daily, every second you get, what can you do to live in God's image? Because if you live in God's image, and if you give the people of this world the fruit, God will give it back to you. He will look after you, and he has got you. So don't be put off by this. It's not me having a go, but he is with you. Remember, we have it here. It's all written down in scriptures. Every single person who wants it, it tells you. I love it in Isaiah 41:10. Fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. God is telling you right there, he has got your back. So, reread the verse. Shall we share our fruit to the world? It's up to you.